All right, ladies and gentlemen, you're now tuned in to the morning show with yours truly, Dex the Algo Capitalist. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Well, the world is waiting and anticipating for the big day tomorrow. We got CPI data coming out along with the FOMC, and everyone is kind of sitting on the edge of their seat waiting to see what happens. Well, I can tell you this so far, the precious metals, Bitcoin and Ethereum, are getting sold off ahead of the FOMC. Now, today it's mixed results in the stock market. The Dow has been down the biggest, but the Dow has a lot more volatility in it and there's a lot more pricier, so it has more room to do that and it not really mean anything. The Dow can swing down plus or minus, you know, three, four, maybe even 500 points, and it doesn't mean anything. So that should be taken into consideration as well. I believe that all of this is playing out because tomorrow I think the markets are going to rally, possibly like gangbusters. I think that is a very high probability. It may not be likely, but we could get that one last bear squeeze before the market actually does roll over. Now, the reason why I'm saying this, because coming into today, if you looked at last night's video, we don't have any bullish trend momentum readings in the equity market. The stock market doesn't have any bullish trend momentum readings. All right. We have one um, bullish algo shift in the Dow. But as far as the S&P, the NASDAQ, and the Russell, there is no type of positive momentum to speak of whatsoever. It's all negative momentum. All right. So the shock and awe has the potential to be to the downside. Remember, the biggest, most powerful moves in market history, in any market's history, as far as, down moves, sell-offs, market crashes, those occur and have occurred during bearish trend momentum readings. All right. You won't have a stock market crash with a bullish trend momentum reading, but you will have one with a bearish trend momentum reading. Now, don't get me wrong, markets can sell off with the bullish trend momentum reading. All you need to have is a bearish algo shift. All right, but that's different. An algo shift is different than a trend momentum reading. A trend momentum reading is your measurement of the strength or lack thereof of the current trend in the market, the long-term trend in the market. Algo shift means a pause in the long-term trend of the market, and a move in the opposite direction will occur due to profit taking or bad news or whatever, technical aspects of the trading, momentum, whatever. So that's how that looks, that's how that works. So with all that being said, the question we got to ask ourselves, as we're winding up, the big earning seasons, and that is, can we ignore all the signs that the entire system is crumbling? I mean, major red flags are popping up for banks, small businesses, and retailers. And not only do we have bearish trend momentum readings on the attack reports, but then we got bad financials coming in. So if the economy is fine, why are so many signs of trouble erupting all around us? Those that keep insisting that the US economy is headed in the right direction while conveniently ignoring the very troubling facts and figures that are coming across the screen is eye popping. Now, when you take an honest look at the cold, hard numbers that the economy keeps producing, there's only one logical conclusion, which is our entire system is crumbling. And it appears that conditions will soon get significantly worse. Just look at what is happening to our banks, for example. Now, the FDIC's most recent report tells us that there are 63 problem banks in the United States. 63, not six, not three, but 63. And collectively, our banks now have approximately $517 billion in unrealized losses. All right. That's more than 500 times the losses of Nick Leeson and what he did to the Bank of England. 500 times worse than Nick Leeson. Anyone who doesn't know who Nick Leeson is, do yourself the biggest favor in the world and rent the movie Rogue Trader. Rogue Trader. One of the greatest trading movies of all time, up there with Boiler Room and Wall Street and Limit Up. All right. And Trading Places. All right. That is that's your list of trading movies, the greatest trading movies of all time. All right. So I'll say it again. Greatest trading movies of all time: Wall Street 1 and 2, Trading Places, and Limit Up, and Rogue Trader. Those are the best. All right. And Boiler Room, if I didn't say Boiler Room. Those are the top trading movies of all time. Those are the GOATs. Anyone who is an investor or a trader should watch all of those above mentioned movies. It will open your eyes to some things. Oh, and a new one. I forgot. How can I forget this one? The Big Short. The Big Short. Yep. Oh, and Wolf of Wall Street. Forgot about those two new movies. Yeah, The Big Short, Wolf of Wall Street, and there's another one. Now that I think about it, there is one more. I can't think of the name of it. It'll come to me later on. But yeah, those movies I just mentioned, if you haven't watched them, you need to go watch them. Oh, Glenn Ross. Yes. Even though that doesn't focus on stocks, it focuses on real estate, but still, gotta watch that movie. Talk about some eye-opening things. For those that don't even work in finance or banking or whatever, you'll still be blessed by it. Some of the greatest acting of all time, in my opinion, and the scripts were just incredible. You watch those movies and your eyes will be open. You may have trouble finding Limit Up. Limit Up is more obscure, but it's really good. All right, because the movie centers on commodity futures traders. So you're like that. Now it just came to my mind. There was another one, and now, oh, okay. Now this one, Rounders. You got to add Rounders to that list. Now, Rounders focuses on professional poker players. The reason why this has to be put in the list of the greatest trading movies of all time, because it has been said that the greatest traders also make great poker players. All right. So add that movie to your list too. So if you haven't seen any of those movies I just mentioned, jot them down and you're going to want to watch those this coming weekend. It will bless you. It will open your eyes to a lot of things you didn't even realize was happening behind the scenes. And for those of you who are in the know, it'll be very entertaining for you. So as I was saying, here in the United States of America, the FDIC, all right, in its most recent report, not an old report from 1979, no, a recent report, indicates that there are 63 problem banks, not 6 problem banks, not 3 problem banks, but 63 problem banks. And we have about approximately $517 billion in unrealized losses, which is more than 500 times, all right, 500 times the staggering $1 billion loss of Nick Leeson, all right, who brought down the Bank of England. So, according to the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation's first quarter report, the U.S. banking system is sitting on a collective $517 billion in unrealized losses and has 63 problem banks. Now, those losses have been sparked primarily by a surge in interest rates over the past 2 years, which has driven down the price of fixed income securities held by banks. Unrealized losses held by banks increased by $39 billion in the first quarter relative to the fourth quarter of 2023. Higher unrealized losses on residential mortgage-backed securities resulting from higher mortgage rates in the first quarter drove the overall increase, according to the FDIC. Now, I would like to know the names of all these particular banks on that list, wouldn't you? But unfortunately, the FDIC will not tell us. So much for transparency. All right. As Daisy Luther accurately noted, the FDIC won't release that information because they are afraid of bank runs. That's right. Stated, we don't get to know which banks are in trouble. It could be my bank, it could be your bank, or maybe it's not. Are they big banks? Small banks? The list is confidential to inhibit the likelihood of bank runs finishing off these institutions. So we just don't know. But I say that's all cap because they can tell you and they can prevent bank runs just by not allowing people to withdraw money. You can try to run on the bank if you want. See, that's the thing. That's a prevailing theme in action movies, especially like crime dramas or just and action movies in particular, thrillers, whatever. If you notice, there is a prevailing trend in these movies. Now, you and I both know if I go, let's say, I'm all, zonked out of my mind on crystal meth, and I decide I'm going to go and rob the liquor store across the street. Well, things will probably go left for me real fast. And, I'll probably be, apprehended before I can even, get the gun out of my pants, right? Or if I rob some old lady at gunpoint walking down the street, take her purse, make her give me all her money and credit cards, or a whole host of other armed robbery scenarios, the police will come get me, right? We all know that, right? But have you noticed something though? You can commit any other robbery, and of course, the consequences will follow inexorably as night follows day. But there's something different though. Whenever you attack a bank, have you noticed how that is taken so personally by the government? Or should I say by the central banking system? Oh, yeah. The Federal Reserve will roll out all the stops. You're not just going to see police cars coming after you. You're going to see SWAT team. You're going to see FBI, CIA, AT&T, wireless. You're going to see all the government agencies, the men in black. You're going to see armed vehicles and tanks and drones in the air and Black Hawk helicopters. They're going to send the full force of the United States military after you if you go and mess with one of their banks. You've seen enough action movies. You see what happens as soon as you touch that bank. You start to see the real flexing muscles of the United States empire. And they will bring all their guns pointed in your direction. Remember the movie Set It Off, right? They lived in the hood where crime was rampant. Did you see such a show of force then? When people were being robbed on the street, stuck up on the street, when gangs were shooting each other on the street? Did you see that kind of show of force? No. You only see that show of force if you touch one of their banks. You touch one of the Federal Reserve's banks and see what happens. And that includes bank runs. Yes, that includes bank runs. If there was a problem with the banking system, all they would do is make an announcement, banks are closed today, bank holiday. What are you going to do? There's nothing you can do about it. It's closed. Oh, well. Do you guys remember in 2008 during the financial crisis? Do you remember the videos that we saw in the news and on social media of people attempting to do runs on banks? Do you remember how that went? They shut that down pronto. A bank run never even got off the ground. They started limiting people's withdrawals, how much money they could withdraw from the bank, denying you access to your funds. Even to this day, the banking system outsmarted everyone because they already knew what was coming years in advance, and they've already taken the necessary precautions to prevent a bank run ever. The President of the United States could do a breaking news conference right now, cut through all your programming, and every channel breaks to the White House. And here's the president coming out and saying, at approximately 1:29 p.m. East Coast time on Tuesday, June the 11th of 2024, I regret to announce that the United States government is now bankrupt, and we have now issued a banking holiday until further notice. Please do not run to your bank and try to withdraw any money. I have directed the armed services. You will see Marines, Army, Navy, Air Force, Black Ops. You will see Secret Service. You will see Special Police, Special Forces, the Rangers Battalion. You're even going to see Barney Fife. Yes, we resurrected Barney Fife. Him and Andy Mayberry have agreed to assist us in this troubling time. And yes, until further notice, your debit cards will not work. Your credit cards will not work. And we just regret to inform you of that. But if you stay cool and calm, this is the United States of America. We will get through this. But yes, I do regret to inform you that the United States is now called a banking holiday as an issue of national security. If you try to do a bank run, if you try to break into the bank, if you try to accost the bank in any way, any shape or form, we've already called martial law on banking properties, and you will be shot on the spot. We thank you for your cooperation and have a great day. That's what you would see happen. You would see that. And then the press would be going crazy. Mr. President, can you answer these questions? And then he just walks off, answers no questions, and says, until further notice, the banks are closed. What do you think would happen? Chaos. So they're not afraid of bank runs. They have all the guns. They will just close the banks, put a chain around the doors, and station military personnel and SWAT teams in front of every bank if they have to. Every banking branch in America will have some kind of military apparatus, militarized apparatus to protect it. Yep. Or they don't even have to do that. They'll just lock the doors. They don't care if you break in because there's no money in there anyway. Unless you've been hiding under a rock, you already know that since the 2008 financial crisis, the banks no longer keep money in them. They only keep the base minimum money they need to conduct business, and they already use algorithms to dictate how much money they need to have every day, every week to run, whatever. Because they base it based on the businesses in the area, because a lot of storefront businesses are cash businesses, so they know how much cash they normally take in and all that stuff. So they know what to have. But anything in excess of that, that's what the armored cars are for. Those armored cars are coming to take that money directly to the Federal Reserve. All right. So you can try to rob a bank if you want. You're not going to get anything out of it. I recall, and this is a real life story, I went to cash a $12,000 check. This is many years ago. And I walked into this local branch, and you would have thought that they saw E.T. walk through the door. When I showed them that check, it's like they couldn't speak English anymore. They didn't know what time it was, what day of the week it was, or who the president's name was, or even remember their name. I'll be right back. I got to talk to my manager. And there was all this whispering. Yeah, it was $12,000. And then they realized that it was a real check, and it was drawn on a real account at that particular bank. So they couldn't say, well, this is not our, this is not written on our bank, so we're not going to honor it. I had an account at said bank, and therefore they had to honor the check because the account of whom the check was written also has an account at that bank. And guess what? That account has sufficient money in it to cash said check. So then they asked me, are you sure you don't want to deposit this check? I said, no. I need to cash it. Dude, you would have never believed how long it took me to make this happen. So after several minutes, they finally come to me and say, there's just no way we can cash this check for you, sir. I'm like, why not? I'm a member of this bank. The company who wrote me the check is also a member of this bank, and I know for a fact that they have the money in there to cover said check. I have enough money in my account to cover said check. So what is the problem? And you know what they said? The problem, sir, is we just don't have that much money in the bank right now. We have less than half that amount in the vault. We're just a small branch. We don't even keep that much money in here like that. So let us send you to a larger branch. If you go to so-and-so and so-and-so, we've already called and told them you're coming, they'll be able to cash the check for you. And that was way back when. It's even worse now. Now, if I were to go into the local branch and say I would like to cash this $12,000 check, first of all, they would ask me, why do you need that much money? Why do you need that much cash? Fill out this form right here. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Why do I need that? I don't have to tell you why I need the money. It's my money. Give me my money. I want to withdraw the money. Give it to me. It's mine. I have $1.8 million in this account, and I would like my $12,000 in cash, please. You should be lucky I'm not asking you for the whole $1.8 million. Give me my $12,000. Oh, yeah. You've seen the stories on social media where people get turned away. They say no. Oh, we have the money. We're just not going to give it to you because you haven't given us a good reason why you need it. Or it's company policy. We don't give out that much cash anymore. But it's your money. Why can't you get your cash? And the reason is because we've gone 100% digital. They just haven't told you yet. That's why when you go to certain establishments now to shop and purchase things, you'll see signs at the cash register saying no cash back or cash not accepted at this register, or we don't give back change. Yeah. Why do you think that is? So bank runs, that's all cap. They're not scared of no bank run. It's impossible these days. They've already taken all the measures to ensure that it can't happen. Because if 100 people lined up outside the bank saying, yeah, we all 100 of us came to empty out all of our accounts, there's no way in the world the bank even has that much money to do that. So they will be turning people away, say, we have no more cash. I'm sorry. That's why they put limits on how much money can be taken out. And in a time of crisis, they would limit that even more and make it impossible for you to withdraw hardly any amount of money. Remember what they did in Greece? Remember when they did that in Greece? What was it, like $100 minimum per day you could take out of the bank, regardless of how much money you had in the bank? Yep, that's where we are. You see, if Americans had the truth and knew and understood the truth, if they had the overstanding and understanding of the truth, there would be bank runs all over the country tomorrow morning. They wouldn't care if they knew they couldn't do it, they still try. That is a rather comforting thought, right? And the condition of our banks just continues to deteriorate because mountains of commercial real estate loans are going bad. At this point, it has become clear that we have never faced a commercial real estate crisis of this magnitude in the entire history of the United States of America. The CRE sector faces the triple whammy of falling prices, falling demand, and rising interest rates. The post pandemic rise of telecommuting and work at home programs crushed demand for office space. Vacancy rates in commercial buildings have soared. Have you seen the walkthrough videos here on YouTube of people walking through major urban areas and seeing all the stores boarded up? Yeah, man. One of the most shocking ones, just type in a search here on YouTube. The guy in Beverly Hills, who walked down the street of Rodeo Drive and showed you all the empty buildings, man. Everyone's gone. All the high classy stores, the sedity stores. Remember the two ladies that refused to wait on Pretty Woman when she walked in their little boutique on Rodeo Drive? Well, they're gone. They're out of here. Yeah, man. This has put significant stress on commercial real estate companies. The biggest bankruptcy in 2023 was the failure of the Pennsylvania Real Estate Investment Trust. Now, the company had loaded up with more than $1 billion in liabilities. The collapse of the commercial real estate market could easily spill over into the financial sector. That's because a lot of loans are coming due. And I'll give you an example. According to the Mortgage Bankers Association, around $1.2 trillion of commercial real estate debt in the United States will mature over the next 2 years. And a lot of financial institutions will fail during the months and years that are ahead of us. Just hope your money is not one of them. Now, to give you a little bit of color on this, okay, so Mr. Smith owns a nice, skyscraper in the downtown area, right? And let's say this building houses 300 companies, right? And they all have, let's say, 6-year leases or whatever. And let's say at the time he purchased this building, it was at 90% capacity. So he was flying high. He had enough income that the building was producing enough income to service the debt. So the debt service was not an issue because he had enough occupancy. But then the pandemic strikes. Now the 90% occupancy falls to 40% occupancy, and now Mr. Smith is in trouble. Mr. Smith cannot pay to service the debt on the building. Not to mention, the interest rate is a variable one. And guess what? Interest rates are rising. So let's just say on this particular building, he was paying $50,000 a month to service the debt, right, for the loan. And that was at 90% capacity. And let's say with that 90% capacity, he was netting, let's say, $75,000 a month. All right, so that's $25,000 of profit for him. All right, that's a gross profit, 25,000 of gross profit a month. So and that's at 90% capacity. Now that he's dropped to 40% capacity, he can't even service the debt and pay the mortgage, the monthly mortgage on the building anymore, because no one renewed, because now they're all telecommuting to work. Okay, so add insult to injury, a new survey reveals that over 2/3 of small business owners are terrified of the state of the economy under Joe Biden's watch, fearing that current conditions and ongoing downward trends will lead to them having to close their businesses altogether. So forget businesses not just renewing leases on these pretty buildings, but these small businesses are going out of business. As reported by the Daily Caller, the poll from the job creators Network Foundation, JCNF, they show that 67% of small business owners maintain such fears about the economy as it stands today, making a 10-point increase from sentiments 2 years ago. Now, you know how important consumer sentiment surveys are, right? Well, in the same poll, participants' perceptions of economic conditions for their own businesses fell from 70.2 to 68.1. Perception of national conditions fell even more drastically from 53.2 to 50.4. Maybe you don't care about what's happening to our small businesses, but you should, because close to half of all workers in the United States are employed by whom? Small businesses. Forbes estimates that at least 46% of employees in the United States, around 61.6 million people in total, are employed by small businesses. I think it is quite an ominous sign that the household survey showed that the U.S. economy lost a whopping 408,000 jobs last month alone. Sadly, I think that a lot more months like that are coming forthwith. Retailers are also struggling right now. In fact, as Mark B. Spiegel recently discussed, major retailers have been reporting disappointing sales numbers. The U.S. economy seems to finally be cracking. This month, a slew of retailers we got like Target, Lowe's, Macy's, Kohl's, Best Buy, Foot Locker examples, reported negative year-over-year sales compositions, and that's before adjusting for the inflation that makes them 3% to 4% more negative in real terms. Then there's others like Dollar General and Burlington Coat Factory reported same-store sales comps in the plus 2% range, but that too was negative when adjusted for inflation, while Walmart and Nordstrom comps managed to roughly keep pace with inflation, but were unable to exceed it. At one time, Walmart was an unstoppable retail behemoth, but now even Walmart is closing down stores. That's right, Walmarts are closing across the country, and retail experts say the cuts are signals of a bleak, the word bleak future for shoppers. The multi-million dollar corporation has closed 9 stores so far this year alone, which could be a warning sign for other retail giants. Now, of course, the stores that Walmart is shuttering are just a drop in the bucket compared to what other chains are doing at this moment. That's right. Precisely at this moment, we're on pace to lose 7,800 stores in 2024. When the Drudge Report used the term retail apocalypse in one of their headlines, that was not an exaggeration at all. We really are in the early stages of a historic meltdown, a Great Depression 2.0, and the outlook for months ahead is extremely bleak. In fact, Harry Dent just told Fox News that we should brace ourselves for a bigger crash than we got in 2008 and 2009. That's the same thing I've been saying. I've been saying that the S&P 500 is going to take out the 666 low of 2009. So, speaking in an updated interview with Fox News Digital, Harry Dent cautioned that the everything bubble has still yet to burst, and it may be a bigger crash than the Great Recession and the Great Depression. Now, in 1925 to 29, it was a natural bubble. There was no stimulus behind that, artificial stimulus per se. So this is new. This has never happened, Dent said on Tuesday. What do you think? And what would you do if you want to cure a hangover? You drink more. And that's what they've been doing. Flooding the economy with extra money forever might actually enhance the overall economy long term. But we'll only see when we see this bubble burst, he added. And again, this bubble has been going more than 14 years. Instead of most bubbles going 5 to 6 years, it's been stretched higher and longer. So you have to expect a bigger crash than we got in '08 and '09. Like I always say in my end of day report videos, the higher the Dow goes, the lower the Dow will crash. Our leaders were able to keep the game going for years by kicking the can down the road, by pumping trillions upon trillions of dollars into the system. But they didn't fix anything. Instead, they just delayed the inevitable. Our entire system really is crumbling all around us. And as it crumbles, we're going to see chaos on a scale that most people don't even want to imagine. Already, major cities from coast to coast are being terrorized by flash mobs and theft and violence and drugs and homelessness and gangs and anarchy. If things are this bad already and the bubble hasn't even popped yet, what is America going to look like once our leaders completely lose control of the economy? Ladies and gentlemen, the only solution I see is to vote out every incumbent in November. Vote out every Democrat this November. Vote out every Republican this November. Upset the apple cart by only voting for independents. They have no bankings by central banks. And I do believe we'll be all right. Now, as far as how are you going to eat with no job, well, you'll have to rely on universal basic income. But if you don't want to have to be reliant upon the government to feed you, then you need to do yourself the biggest favor, one of the biggest favors in your life, and that's go to pulsewavetrading.com and sign up for these attack reports, because that's the only way you're going to be able to feed your family. Once the gig economy dries up, once jobs dry up, how are you going to eat? You're going to have to embrace these markets sooner or later. And you can't do it without the proper tools. And that's what we provide for you at pulsewavetrading.com. And tomorrow is the big announcement. FOMC and CPI. Will you be on the right side of the market? Because I know I will. The system works if you work the system. Bulls make money, bears make money, and pigs get slaughtered. So remember to take what you can and give nothing back. And on that note, I'm out. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. And share this video with friends and family. Until this evening for the Evening Watch Report, I'll see you there. Peace.